strange thing was how quickly I stopped being surprised. At first, every small change felt like proof. Every shared ride felt like a win. Every repair felt meaningful. But after a while, those moments blended into the background. And that's when I understood the real shift had already happened. Because when something stops feeling special, it starts feeling permanent. I began noticing things I'd missed before. Not the bikes themselves, but the spaces around them. Corners where people used to stand still now had motion. Benches that once held tired bodies were empty more often. Crosswalks felt less rushed, less tense. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't obvious. It was subtle. The kind of subtle that only shows up when you stop looking for it. One afternoon, I sat near a convenience store and just watched. A bike pulled up, someone hopped off, went inside, came back out. Another person approached. No words exchanged. The key was handed over. That was it. No explanation, no hesitation. The transfer took less than 3 seconds. I realized then that trust had become automatic. That's rare. Trust usually needs reminders, rules, contracts. This didn't. It moved faster than language. I started talking less about the bikes and more about listening. Listening to what people didn't say. Nobody said they felt empowered. Nobody said their lives had changed. They said things like, "I'll be there in 10. I can stay a bit longer. I'm not as tired today." Those are the real indicators, not excitement, capacity. One night, I followed a bike again, not because I was curious, because I wanted to understand something. The rider went through neighborhoods people avoid after dark. Not recklessly, not afraid, just moving. The bike didn't make him invisible, it made him present. Head up, eyes forward. That posture matters. You walk differently when you feel capable. You ride differently too. I realized how often exhaustion forces people to shrink. Shoulders forward, steps shorter. This reversed that. Slowly, without announcement. Then came the moment that almost broke the pattern. A new group showed up. They weren't from the neighborhood. They were interested but not invested. They wanted to optimize, track usage, add rules, create schedules. They weren't malicious, they were efficient. But efficiency is dangerous when it ignores context. They started suggesting time limits, priority lists, side-ups. The community pushed back. Not emotionally, practically. That's too much work. That makes it complicated. We don't need that. Simply.
When it's necessary. The first rider this time was a nurse. She was walking fast, backpack tight on her shoulders, eyes tired. She said she'd missed the bus. Again. We asked if she wanted to try the bike. She hesitated longer than anyone else before her. Not because she was scared, because she didn't want to hope. When she finally got on, she didn't smile. She didn't laugh. She focused. She rode like someone who didn't have energy to waste. When she came back, she checked the time on her phone. Then she looked up and said, "That just saved me 30 minutes." No excitement. No drama. Just relief. That moment told us everything. This wasn't about speed. It was about margin, giving people breathing room in lives that don't offer much of it. We marked the first mile and kept going. By mid-morning, the streets filled in. Traffic thickened. Noise returned. The bike stayed quiet. People didn't hear it coming. They felt it. We learned quickly that silence makes people curious. Curiosity opens conversations. A guy working construction asked about weight limits. A mom asked about safety. A teenager asked if it was faster than his friend's scooter. Every question shaped the ride. At mile 10, rain started. Light at first, then steady. We thought about stopping. Then a food delivery rider pulled up next to us, soaked, frustrated. He looked at the bike, then at his phone, then back at the bike. We didn't even ask. We just handed him the helmet. He rode through the rain like it was nothing. When he came back, water dripping from his jacket, he said, "This thing doesn't fight me." That stuck. So many people fight their commute every day. This bike didn't fight back. At mile 18, the rain stopped. Steam rose off the pavement. The bike was dirty now. Used. It felt right. At mile 25, the battery indicator dipped faster than expected. We adjusted. Less throttle, smoother starts. more patience. That became a lesson too. Sometimes progress isn't about pushing harder, it's about moving smarter. An older woman with groceries asked if it could carry weight. We balanced the bags. She rode carefully. When she came back, she said she hadn't ridden anything in 20 years. But I remembered, she said. Your body remembers. So did the city. People started recognizing us. Not us specifically, but the bike. They pointed. We thought about it. We decided to see how far this mini electric bike could actually take us. Not on a track, not in a parking lot, not for 5 minutes, but through real streets, real people, real situations. And we added one rule. Every mile we ride, we have to give the bike to someone new. A stranger, someone who's never ridden an electric bike before, someone who might need it more than we do. At the start, it sounded wholesome, almost like a feel-good challenge. But very quickly, it turned into something else entirely. The first rider was easy. A kid around 12, standing with his mom near a bus stop, his eyes locked onto the bike like it was glowing. I asked him if he wanted to try it. His mom hesitated, then smiled. He got on, hands shaking, feet barely touching the ground. I told him, just twist slowly. He did. And in that moment, I watched confidence appear out of nowhere. His shoulders straightened, his smile stretched wider than his face. He wasn't just riding, he was flying. When he came back, he didn't want to get off. He asked how much it cost. His mom went quiet. That was the first time I felt it, that small twist in the chest. Because suddenly, this wasn't about range tests or battery life. It was about access. Who gets to feel this, and who never does? We gave him the mile, marked it on the side of the bike with a marker, 1 mile down. Then things got harder. We handed the bike to a delivery driver next. He laughed at the size, then tried it. 2 minutes later, he was asking about torque and charge times. He told us how much he spends on gas every month, how tired he is by the end of the day. We let him ride farther. When he came back, he just nodded and said, this could change things. 2 miles. By mile 5, we realized a problem. The battery was draining faster than expected. Not because the bike was bad, but because real life is heavier than test conditions. Stop signs, hills, wind, weight differences. This wasn't a YouTube demo anymore. This was reality. At mile 8, the bike shut off for the first time. Silence, right in the middle of a sidewalk. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then someone laughed. Then everyone laughed. But inside, I felt that panic. What if this is where it ends? What if the idea is better than the execution? We pushed it to a charging station. Waited. People kept asking questions. How fast does it go? How far can it really go? Is it legal? Can kids ride it? Can adults? Every question added weight, because every answer mattered. When it powered back on, we didn't celebrate, we just nodded, because now we knew. This bike wasn't perfect, and that made it honest. At mile 12, an older man asked to ride it. He said he used to ride motorcycles when he was young, said his knees couldn't handle the weight anymore. He mounted the mini bike slowly, carefully. The moment he started moving, his posture changed. Not fast, not aggressive, just smooth. When he returned, he didn't smile. He just said, I forgot what that felt like. That hit harder than any reaction before. We kept going. The sun shifted, shadows got longer, battery anxiety became constant. Every mile felt earned. He didn't grow up wanting attention. He grew up wanting quiet. The kind of quiet where nothing explodes, nobody yells, and the night doesn't feel like it's watching you back. That's why the mini bike mattered. It wasn't fast, it wasn't impressive, it didn't turn heads the way big bikes did. But when he sat on it, the world finally shut up. The engine had a rough sound, like it was clearing its throat before speaking. Every time it started, it felt like permission. Permission to leave the block. Permission to think. Permission to breathe. Most kids his age were learning how to fit in. He was learning how to disappear. He learned early that staying still made you a target. Standing on corners too long got you noticed. Being noticed meant questions. Questions meant pressure. Pressure meant mistakes. So he rode, down streets that smelled like hot asphalt and old food,